Hello there, lovely people. My name is Sophia, and welcome to another Sims 4 speed build. Today I'm building in Forgotten Hollow, which is the world that came with the Sims 4 vampires, and you might be wondering why there is already a fairly built house on the screen. Well, my footage for the outside of this build, something went wrong. I didn't realize it, but I was having reshape problems, so the footage was either really low quality or the reshape was doing something strange, and I didn't notice until after I'd already filmed it and moved on to the rest of the house. So, oopsie. I tried to save as much of it as I can, which is what you're seeing here. Not very much of it was salvageable, which is very sad because I'm happy with how this house came out. This ends up being, I think, a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom house, and it's massive. I'm pretty sure this lot is only a 30 by 20, and yet this house has like 2 living rooms. It's really, really big. I imagine it was for a vampire family, just because we're in Forgotten Hollow, and I think most simmers, if they want to play in Forgotten Hollow, they're gonna be using vampires because it's a very vampire-oriented world. It's very dark and gloomy and old, like a lot of stereotypical vampires like Vlad. But here you can see I am just landscaping the front. There's a few ponds on this lot, and I actually finished this build months ago, way before we got the pond update, and I retrofitted the ponds in afterwards, and those were actually my first ever ponds that I made in-game. They're pretty cute. I bet I could do better now, but I like how they looked. And we're already onto the interior because there just isn't that much exterior footage for this. I managed to get quite a bit of me decorating the outside at the end, like the back garden area. But I'm just doing the entryway right now. Those lovely archways are from Strangerville because vampires and Strangerville, Strangerville's the name of the pack. I was about to say that's the name of the world, but they both have Victorian styles. While Strangerville is more colourful and Forgotten Hollow is very dark and dingy, the styles, the stuff from each of those packs can work well together, which is why I use those archways here. But we're already on to the first living room. This is more of the formal living room, a sitting room you might call it. I was really inspired by using that emerald green fireplace that I'm pretty sure is from base game. I used it all over the first floor. I really liked it. And I do want to say, my dog is in the room with me, so if you hear him, that is why. I can't leave him alone today because for some reason he doesn't want to leave me alone, so he's in here. So is my cat. If you hear them, I'm sorry, they are quite loud. But yeah, I really like how this sitting room came out. I used quite a bit of Paranormal in here as well as in the rest of the build. This room really just ends up being the piano room because I didn't put a TV in here. I put a TV in the informal living room just because why not? TVs are very useful for getting your Sims fun up. But yeah, I get a grand piano in here and I should be grabbing that out pretty soon. Grand pianos are massive, so I was very excited to be able to use them here in this build because I just had the room for it. But here I am making a built-in situation with these side tables from Jungle Adventure. I really liked the dual wood tones on here and I just end up covering it with tons of books. I'm imagining one of the Sims here, at least one of them, maybe 2, both of the parents. They are definitely a bookworm because, oh boy, there's a lot of bookcases. There's lots of books just piled up everywhere, so I was really going for a dark academia kind of vibe to it, and I also used lots of the new plants that came with the Sims 4 Blooming Rooms kit. When I had originally built this, we didn't have this kit, so I just kind of retrofitted them at the end here, like with the ponds, because yeah, I build all my builds on my own time and then I refilm them for YouTube because it takes me so long. Like, it took me, I was working on an apartment the other day, and I'm not kidding when I said it took me 2 hours to do 1 bedroom. That is why I filmed mine the second time around, because if I filmed the first time around, a 2-bedroom apartment would be a 25-minute video, and I am unfortunately not making that up. If you look at some of the earlier videos on my channel, long videos, small apartments. So I'm very happy I changed that strategy. But here is going to be the one and only bathroom I'm showing on camera. There are 4 of them, and I was pretty happy with how they came out. I used lots of the vampires' appliances in this pretty gold color. Because the vampires' appliances are so extravagant, I don't really use them that often, as same with this tile, which I loved in here. So I was very happy to get to use all of these appliances, and yeah, I use pretty much the same ones in all the other bathrooms, so you won't be missing out on much. There's an ensuite for the parents' room, a normal bathroom on the second floor, and the young adults' room also has a bathroom, an ensuite bathroom. And I didn't even talk about the family who lives here yet, but I imagine it was a vampire family, with 2 parents, a young adult daughter, a teenage son, and a girl child sim. And yeah, that's the family dynamic. I also imagine that they had 2 dogs, 2 Dobermans. I don't know how to say the plural form of that, but yeah, 2 Dobermans? I don't know how to say that breed name, but I just thought like they kind of fit the dramatic, intimidating vibes of the outside of this house. But this is the dining room. Got lots of chairs from Realm of Magic and another one of these lovely fireplaces. I get a cornucopia on there. I don't really know how to say that. It's an item that came with seasons, and I'm pretty sure it's for Thanksgiving. I don't celebrate Thanksgiving, so I don't really know much about that, but yeah, just getting lots of plants and a jukebox. I never really get to use the jukeboxes, so I was kind of happy to use it here because it's a very big, old-looking item, but I thought it matched here pretty well. Same with this, like, butler station thing. I don't really know what you'd call it. It's just a strange surface that you can put things on. It's from base game, and it's in the miscellaneous surfaces category, but I decided to bring it out here because it's got the green top, match the fireplace, sort of, and those little statuettes from Paranormal of the eagles. I think they're like Horus from ancient Egypt mythology, if I'm not mistaken. But here, I didn't really know what to put in this corner, so I ended up just getting a little built-in seating area, not functional because I raised the ottomans up, but these ottomans are once again from luxury party stuff. I actually really like these ottomans, even though luxury party stuff sucks. So if you don't have that pack, I don't blame you. It's not very good, but you'll really only be missing these ottomans. I think I said that in the last video I did about some stools. I really should stop using luxury party stuff, but I actually really like the ottomans. I don't know why. Not that special, but I like how they look. Also, I'm sorry if you can hear the wind in the background. We have been having like a windstorm situation here for about 3 days now, and the wind just won't die down, and I really want to get this voiceover out of the way. I've tried to do it like 3 times and just ran out of momentum, so I'm trying to get it done today, so I apologize if you hear the wind in the back. But we're already on to the kitchen. This is a massive kitchen, which is funny because vampires don't really eat food. The only sim in this household that really eats normal sim food is the child sim, because child sims, when they're vampires, they pretty much just act like they're not vampires until they turn into a teenager. So I didn't give them any additional appliances. Looking back, I probably should have, just to fill up the space more, because there are so many counters in here. I think it's a base game counter set. But no, I didn't give them a tea brewer or a coffee machine or anything. It doesn't really matter because, once again, I imagine that this household was full of vampires, so they only drink plasma, which you cannot make in a tea brewer, so it didn't really matter. But I get so much clutter in this kitchen just because I didn't think it would be used very often, so I just thought it would be a great place for this family to store all of their miscellaneous junk, although they also have an attic, which is on the 3rd story of this house, and I'm very impressed with myself that I managed to make a 3-story home. This is massive. I don't think I've ever done that before. I normally only make smaller homes, so this was a challenge for me. I got a bit burnt out at the end of furnishing this house, which was kind of sad, but I finished it in the end and I'm getting it out for you guys. I had built this months ago and it had just been sitting in my save file. I hadn't recorded it or anything, but I'm happy I'm sharing it. I was kind of hoping to get it out in October because, yeah, you know, spooky month, but that did not happen like at all. It's definitely like late November when this is coming up, but I really like how it looks, so I'm happy to share it with you. But just getting all of your necessary kitchen things like the trash can, you know, I also get a breakfast table here that came with Realm of Magic, And I find it really strange that some of these bar height tables especially, they aren't found in the table section. They're found in the miscellaneous like surfaces, even though some of the bar height tables we've gotten in other packs do show up in the table section of the catalog. So I think that's really strange, and I don't really understand it, and it makes it hard to find, so I don't really use those sorts of tables very often. But I had to cut out some of the decorating of this kitchen just because it's a big kitchen and there's lots of stuff in it, so you're just gonna miss a little bit of it, not too much. I also forgot to put food bowls for their dogs on camera, but I went in and I did that afterwards because those are very important. But yeah, we're already on to the informal sitting room. This is very orange and green. If you've been here for any number of weeks, you will know that my recent mania in The Sims is orange and green, so I couldn't help myself here. But yeah, I matched that fireplace to this table from Paranormal, and I thought the greens matched so well. I love these like dark, rich greens that came with the Paranormal stuff pack, and also the like maroon, purplish red color that came with it. They're just so good. They're my favorite things ever. I have to resist basing all of my builds around these colors, especially. Orange, green, maroon, and that shade of emerald green are my weaknesses currently, and I just can't seem to stop using them. But I did a more pastel apartment just recently with the new Blooming Rooms kit, so I guess I'm trying to keep away from it as much as I can. But in here, I just get a computer desk, because even though I imagine these were very old, stuffy vampires, I thought that their kids had managed to convince them to get a computer. So it's a kind of bad computer, but it works, and it just sits right here in the family room. I also end up getting some like toys for the kid in this build, and yeah, that's about it for the family room. I'm not really sure what else I put in here. There's even more books and bookcases, of course, because I can't stop putting books in builds or plants. They're just everywhere. I don't know why. I'm gonna have to do a build where I sort of challenge myself to not use plants absolutely everywhere, because since the new kit dropped, I just can't stop using it. It's so pretty. If you aren't really a fan of kits, I hate to tell you this, but I'm going to be using that kit in almost every build from now on, and yeah, very sorry about that, but it's a really good kit and I'd recommend you getting it if you haven't already. But we're already on to the first bedroom. This is the master bedroom for the parents, and here is where the camera starts to get a little funny, because my camera especially hates Forgotten Hollow. I can't figure out why, but I'm always bouncing around in Forgotten Hollow. No matter what I do, I can't get the camera to calm down. And that was made worse by the fact that this is a 3-story home with very tall wall heights. So there's a bit of bopping. I couldn't really do anything to affect the bopping. I couldn't fix it. I tried to cut out as much of it as I could, but yeah, it's a bit bouncy. But I don't mind too much, so I hope you won't mind. There's not too much bouncing, but this is the master bedroom. It's pretty simply decorated. I get a lot of the fancier pieces of artwork and stuff, and this bed from Vampires that's very dramatic and I never really use. But I liked how it looked here, and as you can see, bouncing camera, and this was me trying my absolute best to figure it out, but my camera just does not like Forgotten Hollow. Every time I build here, it just goes a bit bonkers. But here is going to be the child Sims room. I imagine this was a girl, but it could have, of course, stumbling over my words. It could of course be for any sim of your choosing. I imagine that this sim was really into the outdoors. I imagine they're in scouts, and maybe they want to be a conservationist when they grow up or something like that. I was kind of imagining that all of the children in this house are really interested in getting away from Forgotten Hollow in various different ways. Like this sim just wants to go out and explore nature instead of the swampy middle of nowhere that is Forgotten Hollow. I imagine their older brother wants to be a paranormal investigator, and I imagine the eldest, their young adult sister, wants to be a politician who lives in San Myshuno. So I imagine they all want to get away from tradition, which is kind of funny. But this sim, yeah, really likes the outdoors, so I gave them a bug. I think that's going to be a Luna moth. I'm not too sure. I thought it matched just because, vampires, Luna Moth. And I gave them one of those tiny little cow plants from the Paranormal stuff pack once again. It's very cute. I really like that plant. I wish you could size it down, but you can't because the cow plant like wiggles softly inside of it, which is really cute. So I can't complain too much, but I just get a few toys and one of those like piggy bank things and my favorite rug in the entire game. That like yellowy green one from, what is it, Strangerville, I think? I use that rug all the time. If you've seen like any of my past builds, you've probably seen this rug, and I know it's not very good, but it's great to me, so I just use it way too much, and I'm gonna have to pull back on that. But I'll just be changing up some of the decorations on this wall and filling up this bookcase. I think it's a Discover University bookcase, and I get one of those conch shells from Island Living and just some tins from the Country Kitchen kit and maybe a little globe. Yeah, this little globe here. I really struggled to place it because, I don't know, something about Forgotten Hollow. All the controls get a little bit weird and my camera gets a little bit strange, but I can't really complain because I do really like this world. I think it's very fun, and I know a lot of people don't like to build here because it's so dark and very niche with the whole vampire vibe, but I really like building here. I built here quite a bit. I build here more than I build in Strangerville, so that's something to say, but I know a lot of people don't really build in Strangerville either. But I'm just getting some environmental focused wall decorations and fixing up the lights before we go onto the Teenage Brothers room as a whole motorbike gang goes past my house. Oh no, not again. But yes, Teenage Boys room. I imagine that this kid is in the Renegades. He is a very proud member of the Renegades, and he likes to cause trouble, and he wants to be a paranormal investigator. He's very much into the paranormal. I give him a seance table, and he's got like a painting of Guidry, the guide NPC from that stuff pack in here, and that wallpaper is also from Paranormal, and yeah, so's that side table. I just love the items that came with Paranormal. It's my favorite stuff pack ever to come with The Sims. It's just so good. There's so much gameplay in it for a stuff pack. I feel like they could have charged us game pack price for Paranormal, like made it a game pack, and no one would have complained. So it's very good for a stuff pack, I think. But I always have a hard time trying to find the seance tables in the catalog because they're not in skill building, they're not in recreation. I really can't find them, so I always have to search by pack when I want to find these things. But just getting a bookcase and a mirror and lots of posters. I get like a horror movie poster up here. I think it's called it's something Massacre, which is a bit darker than I'd expect from a title of an item in Sims 4, because they tend to be pretty PC about those stuff. But I thought it was funny. But just getting some more posters, one of those like Renegades club flags, and yeah, I really like this sim. I think they have a very strong personality and they're very interesting. I also gave them, a soccer ball, a guitar, just because they're a teenager, so I imagine they're just trying things out. And yeah, just getting those chandeliers that I put all over the build, which are also from Jungle Adventure, because a lot of the Jungle Adventure items are very dramatic and fancy, so I thought they fit this build quite nicely. And here I am realizing I forgot to put the details on the outside back of the build, so I put them in there, and maybe you can get a bit of a closer look at the exterior of this build, because there just wasn't that much footage at the start of the build. But this is the young adult daughter's room. Like I said earlier, I imagine that she wants to be a politician. I imagine she wants to live in San Myshuno. She wants to get away from Forgotten Hollow. Yeah, I imagine she's really into music, so I gave her a pipe organ and a microphone. So yeah, maybe she wants to get into singing as well. I really like all of the children's Sims in this build. They all have such strong personalities, and I just really like how it came through. She also gets a lot of plants in here, a lot of hanging plants, mostly from Nifty Knitting, the new kit, and Paranormal, because Paranormal used to be the only pack that we got like normal hanging plant in, because Nifty Knitting, the hanging plants were craftables, but now we have another one. I don't really like the new hanging plant that came with the kit, but I'm trying to warm up to it, so you'll see me overusing it, trying to get used to it. But yeah, there was that pipe organ I was talking about. It's such a pretty item, but it is so massive and so stylized that I find it really hard to use in any build other than a vampire build. And don't ask me how they managed to get a pipe organ up here, because the only way into the daughter's room is up a ladder. But I didn't think that was a problem because vampires, I imagine she has the turn into bat ability or whatever it's called in The Sims. So I imagine she just flies up here, has absolutely no problem with it. She also has a massive ensuite, so that sort of makes up for the fact that she's sort of isolated in a tower, but I thought that she really wants to get away from her family and all of the traditions, so I don't think she minded being up on her own so much. But this is one of the only hallways I showed the decoration of because I really like how this hallway came out. This is the landing area that leads into the attic, and the attic is sort of a painting space. I imagine the young adult daughter and maybe one of their parents really likes to paint, so I gave them, you know, a easel in the little attic space, and I just filled the attic with a bunch of junk, all that sort of thing, just because I feel like with vampire families, especially if it's like a historic vampire family that's been around for a while, I feel like they would have accumulated a lot of junk, because I personally have accumulated a lot of junk and I have not lived for a very long time, especially not considering how long vampires live in The Sims, because they don't age. So if I have this much stuff now, I imagine they would have an absolutely crazy amount of stuff by the time that they are, well, adult Sims, I was imagining, maybe about to become an elder, because I use MC Command Center to let my vampire Sims age normally, so I don't really know how the aging works that came with like the release of vampires, so I don't really know too much about how they work. But yeah, I imagine that was sort of the situation on why they have so much junk up here. And I used those newspapers on the floor, like underneath the easel, to like save the lovely hardwood floors from being ruined by the paint. But I really hate using the yellowed swatches of this rug from Cats and Dogs because I think it looks disgusting. But I thought it matched here because it's probably really old newspaper, but it's still really disgusting. I normally only use the pretty much pristine newspaper option for that rug just because I find the yellowed one really gross, but I used it here, so I'm trying to get over that. But just getting like an ottoman or chair or whatever you'd call that, and that globe decoration, I think that's a base game item. I think it's vintage Glamour that came with a globe bar, but I didn't really feel like putting a bar up here. I feel like that would be kind of hard to access, and it would be a bit sad if one of the parents just comes up here to drink and paint alone, so I didn't put a globe bar in here, I just put a regular globe. And I cluttered up these bookcases quite a bit, just because I didn't like how empty they were, and yeah, just getting a bunch of paintings and mirrors. For some reason I don't hold back with decorating my vampire builds with mirrors. Even though vampires can't use mirrors, they don't have a reflection, which is like reflective of real vampire folklore, so I'm very happy they included that in the game. But yeah, tons of mirrors in this house, and no one in this house can use them, so that's funny. But here I am adding lots of ivy on the outside of the build, so you should hopefully be able to see like what the exterior of this house looks like more accurately, because I am using this ivy that came with Jungle Adventure. I keep wanting to call the pack Jungle Adventure just Salvadorada, but that's the world name, so I can't do that. But I also used a bit of the ivy that actually came with vampires, and I put quite a bit of ivy on the front of the house, and like afterwards I come back in, I don't think it's on camera, but I come back in and I pull back with the level of ivy, because the ivy that came with Jungle Adventure is very, very strongly colored. I use this bright purple swatch, and I put it everywhere. It's very thick, so I have a hard time using it. I know most simmers, they either really love this ivy and use it all the time, or they really struggle with using this ivy because it's really chunky and sort of hard to use, and I'm the second type of simmer. I don't know how to use this ivy very well, so you can see me struggle, and you can see the camera bounce a bit wildly there. Should have cut that out, but oopsie. But yeah, I didn't show all of the ivy placing because it's pretty repetitive, but we are already onto the back garden. I did a more like formal manicured planter situation here with a few statues from vampires and one of these strange topiary trees with the round leaves. I think they look really silly, but I think they matched the more manicured vibe I was going for just in this little planter box. Quite a lot of plants in here. Mostly base game. I think all base game plants in there, except for that fern, which is from Outdoor Retreat. But over here there's a fountain, there's a stone bench, and I think both of those stone objects came with Realm of Magic. I really love the Realm of Magic fountain, but I also get a few planter boxes and just a dining space. So I'm coming up to the end of this video now, so I just wanted to say thank you for sticking around, even though I lost some of the footage at the beginning. I hope that doesn't make you too sad, but if you like this video, you could leave me a like. That would really help me out, and I would love to hear what you think of this build in the comments, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!